Ready is Tish with Tish's Dishes. Okay, so I'm gonna make a dish that I grew up with. I have like a little cough, so in case I cough a little bit. What I'm gonna do is it's a macaroni dish. I call it the Chicano macaroni because it's cooked just a little bit different. There's an Italian version of it, and they do theirs almost similar. So I'm going to start with I'm going to use hamburger meat. So I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil because my hamburger meat I got it's like less fat, but I need some fat in order so it doesn't stick. So I am going to add in my hamburger meat. And my hamburger meat is like going to be the key to all the flavor to the sauce. So this is going to be my key component, and I have it on a little too high. Just turn it down. Okay. Now it's going to cook, and if it doesn't have too much moisture, I'll have to add a little bit of more olive oil. So I'd rather have olive oil than the fatty hamburger meat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cook for a second. I'm going to put the seasonings in, and we'll show you what it looks like. Tish's Dishes, subscribe. Okay, so I have my hamburger meat in here, and based upon how chunky you like the meat, you can do whatever you like to it. So our sauce. The meat sauce is going to be the main component to the whole dish. So I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of onions in there, and this is a jalapeno, and I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of those in there too. I am going to put a teaspoon of salt. It's been raining, so it's humid a little bit. And I'm going to put a teaspoon of garlic, and I'm going to whisk this all together. And it's a little bit dry, so what I'm going to do is I already put olive oil in here. I'm going to put a little bit of water because I don't want it to get too dry, and it's going to condense down. So this is the basic to where our whole seasoning of our sauce will be right in here. So let's just cook this like this. And it pretty much, when I just got off a while ago showing you, it cooked a little bit while I was doing my little stuff. So we just want to mix all these ingredients in. See? And we let it just cook down. And once the aromas are so good. So this makes the whole sauce. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cook down, and I'm going to put it in the plate so that we're going to use 1 pot for everything. So 1 pot, and then we'll put it, once we're done with all the ingredients, then we'll put it into the baking into a baking dish so that it goes in the oven. So see, and watch, it's creating, it's a really good juice. So this is exactly what I want it to look like. So let me let it cook. I don't want it to cook too much, but I'm going to let it cook all the moisture down so that it locks in all the flavors into the meat. And I want this all to cook together in the saucepan with my noodles. So I'm going to give this probably about another 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll be right back to show you what's next. Tish's Dishes, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. The hamburger meat is done. So I am going to put it right here in this plate. And I use a plate because it's easier so it doesn't spill all over the plate. So I'm just going to scoop all the good stuff out. And it's okay if you don't get it all out because it's going to be in the same pan. So putting this back here, I'm going to move this over here because I don't want it to fall. So Now we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in it. We're going to let it heat up a little bit. So you're looking about maybe a teaspoon and a half a teaspoon. It's we need the oil to get warm. So what we're going to do is I have 3 cups of noodles. So I'm going to put them in here. You have to brown the noodles. And see how it's coating it? And now let's just let it start to brown the noodles, okay? So I'm just gonna let you watch the process. Tish's Dishes, subscribe. Okay. See, I'm gonna move them over. I'm gonna put in the hamburger meat. Okay, so maybe you don't want one to overpower the other, but it's like, hamburger meat that I wanted it. I think it's pretty much like sweet. So, we got that going. Put this back over here. So then, what I did is I took some tomato sauce and whole diced tomatoes in here. So watch, you're gonna hear it watch. And this is the key thing is you don't want to overpower the tomato sauce either. So let's put this over here. Let's make this in. You just want it to blend it in. Okay. Like that. You don't want too, like when you're cooking anything, you don't want too much of one over the other. So you have its purpose. The redness and all that good stuff. Okay. Now let's move on. This is. I have the oven at 350, so I'm going to put this in at least for an hour, but I'm going to check it out just to stir it around because you don't want the noodles to clump up in one location. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this, put it in this pan here, okay, mix it around, make sure they're all equally around, turn this off. Then, when I was a little girl, my grandma was like, don't waste anything. So I put my sausage, the water in the containers that I had. Had the tomato and the diced tomatoes. She's like, you don't waste anything. I'm going to get this in here and really get all the good stuff off this pan. Don't leave any of this stuff on because all the juices, all the ingredients that we put in the meat are in this pan. Put this off. Put it, okay, go in there, baby. There we go. Side. Here. Is I just mixed it around just to get all the ingredients all together. Okay, and then I'm going to bake this, like I said, at 350 for the next hour or it could take half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, until the noodles puff up. I'm going to mix them around so that they cook equally, and then once it's done we'll pull it out and we'll put some cheese on the top and put it back in the oven on off to let the cheese soak into the casserole. So let's get this into the oven. I'm going to put some foil on top of it and watch it throughout periodically through the cooking and just turn it around. Okay, but I'll show you. Tish's Dishes, subscribe, and watch have some of her Chicano noodles. Okay, we'll be right back. Bye. Let's take the foil out. It's been half an hour. Okay, see how the noodles are puffy? We just want to turn them around. So I could feel the texture. If they're halfway there. So another half an hour, they should be completely cooked. Okay, all we're gonna do is turn it around like this. And if you think it needs a little bit more water, don't be afraid to pour some in. Pour a little bit more if you like. But pretty much, I think it has enough in there. So, let's cover this back up. And I'm going to stick it back in the oven for another half an hour. See if we go back in the oven. Tish's Dishes. Subscribe and like. Okay, so let's take the foil off. Okay. See how nice and juicy it came out? And you don't want it to get mushy, so an hour is the max. If you feel you want it the noodles a little more firmer, you can take them out a little more. It's messy. This is so good. Sorry, I had to taste it. So great. Okay. I'm so sorry, meeting. Okay, so I'm going to top it with cheese. So the two cheeses I'm going to use are white and a yellow. So it's going to be Montoya will be my white, and cheddar will be my yellow. So all I'm going to do, put the cheese on like that. And I mix the cheese up in a bowl. And I am going to put the whole enchilada on them. And you want to put more because you want the cheese to melt into the casserole. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this back in the oven for about 5 minutes until the cheese melts, and then I'll bring it out. Don't cover it. Don't need to cover it now. The covering part is done. Okay. Now we're going to put it back into the oven, and then you'll see what it looks like next. Tish's Dishes. Subscribe. This is her Spanish macaroni casserole. I just took out the casserole. Look how good it looks. It took a little bit more than 5 minutes. It took about 7 minutes to so I want to lift it so you can see it a little bit. And see it? This casserole is so good. It's like the best. So try it. It's easy. To make it for the kids, you would not put in the diced jalapenos because they might be a little too hot for them. But you know, there's some kids that can eat hot chili. Like my granddaughter, she loves spicy. She doesn't like sweet stuff, like sugar stuff. So this is like the best to-go dish, and I'm gonna plate it up, and then I'll show you what it looks like on my plate. Okay, Tish's Dishes. Subscribe and like. Look how good that looks. Doesn't that look good? Okay, now let's try it. Tish's Dishes. Subscribe. Okay, now let's taste it. I like to add a little more of pepper in mine, and you can put any, if you need like more salt, whatever you can. I try not to cook with too much salt because there's some people that don't like that much salt in their food. So, okay, let's taste it. So good. This is so good. So this is a meal that I grew up with. It's Spanish macaroni noodles. The best. So easy to make. Kids will love it. It's an easy party dish to take to someone's house, to have it at your house as part of a side dish. But this is so good. So try my recipe and I know you'll like it. TishsDishs. Subscribe and like it. Hit the bell so that you can get all my new videos that are going to be part of my cookbook. So Simply Delicious TishsDishs cooking cookbook recipe. Cookbook.